Hello, freight broker family. I hope you're well today. Hope your families are well. Another beautiful day is upon us. I hope you're even more excited than I am about the opportunities that lie ahead. So today I want to talk to you about the fuel cost and how these costs are starting to impact small trucking companies. Some time ago we made a video, and on that video we were saying that if this persists, these high fuel costs continue, then it would soon, much sooner than later, start to impact and start to have a big impact on small trucking companies, right? So I was just reading this morning, because I like to read up on the industry to always keep myself abreast of what's happening, right? So it says here in an article this morning, fuel prices creating a last man standing situation for small carriers, and drivers are starting to be in fear, right? And what are they in fear of? What they're saying is it used to cost about $800 to fill up. And he says now we're talking $1,000, $1,100 to fill up a 250-gallon tank. So yeah, it's rising every day. Literally, you see fuel prices go up 40, 50, 60 cents overnight. And an average fuel week was about $1,500 to $1,600. Now it's $2,400 a week. So that's having a really big impact on small carriers, right? And you might be thinking that conventional wisdom says that if fuel costs increase, then rates automatically increase as well. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. Yes, the fuel surcharge will increase, but that does not mean the line haul rate will increase. Some people say, oh, okay, we can just dismiss that because they're small carriers. Big carriers are the backbone of the industry. And it's actually the reverse of that. Small carriers, small trucking companies are the backbone of the trucking industry, right? They make up the biggest part of the industry. We're talking about, I think truckinginfo.net has trucking statistics there, and it says 97% of trucking companies operate 20 trucks or fewer, and 90% of those trucking companies are 6 trucks or less, right? So we're talking about 1.2 million companies, and 97% being 20 trucks or less, 90% being 6 trucks or less. We know that small trucking companies obviously are the backbone of the industry. So we can't just dismiss this and say, oh, because they're small, then just let whatever happens, happens. I think we have to start paying a whole lot of attention to what's happening with small trucking companies. And the reason for that is because they're not able to pass on those costs as good as bigger trucking companies are able to do that, right? Because that's what happens with big trucking companies. They pass on those costs to the shippers, right? And then, of course, the end user, the consumer, us, we end up paying for those costs. But this is having a big impact. And then we know if we start to see truck drivers, small trucking companies go out of business, that's going to have an even greater impact on capacity. A capacity that's already struggling to meet the needs of the customer, right? We're already short trucks. I think the ATA said that it was about 80,000 short. Bottom line is, whatever those numbers are, drivers are already short, and this would even further impact those numbers, right? So what is the fix, right? What is the fix? What's the solution to trying to get drivers in a better situation, smaller carriers in a better situation? I think a part of it has to be taken care of in the fuel surcharge. The small carrier has to get that fuel surcharge. The whole purpose of the fuel surcharge is to help the carrier. It should be the carrier's fuel surcharge, right? But now also, carriers need to make sure that they are negotiating the fuel surcharge, because you don't just go to Walmart and don't present a coupon and think you're going to get a discount, right? If you have a coupon, take your coupon to Walmart, present it, and you'll get a discount. Well, fuel surcharges are the same way. Make sure you're negotiating your fuel surcharge. That's due. So something that's due to you, you make sure that you get it. That's your responsibility as a small business person, I believe, right? Another part of it is sometimes small carriers may have gone into contracts with shippers, and they went in at certain prices. Well, now that the fuel costs have increased, they may be stuck in those contract prices, right? So sometimes when dynamic things like how the fuel costs have happened right now, they've just shot out of control. Sometimes you can't still move at those same costs. And it needs to be renegotiated. You need to renegotiate that contract with that shipper. It may be a little bit hard sometimes, but at the end of the day, how long can you run and lose money? How long can you run at the cost that you're running and not turn a profit? So I think that's just something to think about as we start to move forward. And we all need to understand that at some point you're going to see small freight brokerages impacted, because anytime truck drivers are impacted, it's just a matter of time before brokers will be impacted. So it's just something to think about, something to start to get your mind wrapped around if you haven't already, and start moving your position, or moving your business to position yourself so that you can insulate yourself when it comes down to these fuel prices. Hopefully they don't continue to last for much longer, but they could, so be ready. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope that information has been helpful. If you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series, and it's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It'll give you a chance to come into my office with me and watch me as I move loads, talk to shippers and carriers. That way you can get a better understanding of how this business works before you come into it. And then if you're interested in learning more about how we go out and find the customers that we work with, I'll leave a free video right here. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.